Rather than lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a brand new video. Now, Arsenal are slowly and surely pulling away from the Raphinha deal. Arsenal in the last 48 hours, according to reports, have not talked to Raphinha, Deco, and his representatives. Arsenal are also not in contact with Leeds United for the player anymore. In the next 48 hours, it is going to be decisive. It is going to be very crucial as Arsenal have already outlined their alternatives to Raphinha. One thing I can confirm on this video as we get into it is that Arsenal will 100% this summer strengthen on that forward line by adding in another wide forward. Someone who can play just like Raphinha, although it will not be him in this summer. So join me on this journey as we discuss through the options that Arsenal have outlined as players that will be giving us what we were expecting to get out of Raphinha. And of course, share with me your thoughts and let's have a conversation around these names. Number one, Serge Gnabry, who is the priority. Noah Lang as well, Marco Essentio, Alan Saint-Maxima, and Jarrod Bowen. All those names have been outlined now presently as names that Arsenal think a deal can get done and can join the Emirates Stadium this summer to provide more strength and width and depth on that forward line. Hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 800 likes. Subscribe to this podcast as we are very close to 51,000 subscribers. The road is to 60,000. But of course, we have to first get to 51. Make sure you subscribe down below. Now, let's get into it, lads. Let's start off with Serge Gnabry. Arsenal have now identified Serge Gnabry as their priority to replace Raphinha on the list of wingers and wide forwards that Arsenal is looking at. Now, this is a very nice shout. Absolutely very nice shot. If you think about Raphinha and what he might provide Arsenal with, and Serge Gnabry and what you think Arsenal will get in him, I don't think there is so much of a difference. I think the only difference is 1 year in terms of age. Serge Gnabry is 26 and Raphinha is 25. That's the only difference. But if I look at in terms of quality, in terms of experience, in terms of the winning mentality, and also in terms of the fact that Serge Gnabry has been at Arsenal before, played in the Premier League before, and would want and be very open to a move back at the Emirates Stadium, I do not see how this becomes a bad deal. The only problem, it might be a difficult one. Now, the player getting away from Bayern Munich or buying him from there, that might not be a very difficult task. Around 35 to 40 million euros, that is what Arsenal need to pay. Significantly, very less as compared to what would be paying for Raphinha. The problem with the Serge Gnabry deal is the wages. Arsenal have already offered Gabriel Jesus wages close to 10 million euros per year. That is around 200,000 and above per week. I'm not really very sure if Arsenal are going to be paying another player 200,000 per week, and that is what Serge Gnabry is looking at. At the moment, that's why he's refusing to resign with Bayern Munich. Now, we do not know if it is only the money why he's refusing to sign with Bayern, or he has other intentions, just like changing environment, just like finding a new challenge and things like that. But what I understand at the moment is that the contract situation between him and and Bayern Munich is very complicated. But if Arsenal can just find in themselves, one, an agreement between them and Serge Gnabry on the wages, or two, the financial depth to pay the wages of Serge Gnabry, the kind of money that he is asking for, then he would be a very nice player to join the Emirates Stadium. One thing I can say about him is he's a guaranteed starter when it comes to Arsenal. So definitely he will be occupying that right-hand side of the attack, and maybe Saka occupying the left-hand side of the attack. Proven German player, played in the Premier League. Maybe the kind of experience he has in the Premier League is not one that we can give a huge shot. One thing we can give a huge shot is that he's been playing and challenging for Bayern Munich, one of the biggest teams in the world, and he has been challenging at the top, at the topmost level. Now, that really means a lot, in my opinion. If you get a player from Manchester City like Gabriel Jesus, and then you get a player from Bayern Munich in the caliber of Serge Gnabry, that 100% means a lot to me as a fan. It means Arsenal have now started going up a level, that we can sign players from Bayern Munich, players that have not been rejected, but players that just cannot find an agreement. And the fact that Serge Gnabry at that level can sign for Liverpool, Real Madrid, PSG, and any other big club in the world, the moment you sign him, you've just grown in terms of mentality, but also in terms of quality, like I've said, and output. Is one player that is averaging double figures in terms of scoring goals and also assisting per campaign. So with the idea that Mikel Arteta wants to spread out the goals alongside the pitch and throughout the pitch, have goals in the attack, have goals in the midfield, and also have goals in from his defenders, I don't think Serge Gnabry would be a very, very bad shot. So he's now the priority. Arsenal will need a lot of work to get this deal done. There might not be a bidding war. There are not so many clubs that are seriously interested. Otherwise, it is a deal that Bayern Munich is happy to do. With Sadio Mane now joining them for 35 million euros, they'll be extremely happy to replace that money. Very well knowing that Robert Lewandowski moving to Barca will actually bring in some 40 million euros. So in my opinion, at the moment, Arsenal are 100% right. Serge Gnabry, the priority. That is absolutely okay in my opinion. In number 2, we have Noah Lang. Noah Lang is playing with the Belgian club Club Brugge. And he's one of those very, very interesting players as well. One thing I've seen with his statistics actually is that he's one of the players that are actually getting red cards in these careers. In the last two campaigns in the Belgian Pro League, he's actually got 3 red cards. I don't understand why. Last campaign, he scored 7 goals for them in 37 appearances and assisted 12 times. Now, with Noah Lang, honestly, I do not think he's better than Raphinha. Because when you look at the attributes Raphinha has, yes, Noah Lang shares some of those attributes, but the more exciting parts of Raphinha is that he's brought those attributes and thrived in the Premier League. Arsenal were interested in Noah Lang, like I reported earlier. In January, we wanted to sign him, but I think it was an issue to deal with ample time. He was never the priority, and by the time Arsenal decided that they will be walking away from the Vlahovic and Darwin Núñez deal, which we tried to sign them in January as kind of trying to get a bargain, and we terribly failed at that. There was no time to sign Noah Lang. Of course, Noah Lang is one of the very, very exciting players. I think he's Dutch. He played for Ajax before moving into Club Brugge. The ratio at which he's scoring and assisting is not really that bad. But in my opinion, Noah Lang is almost at the same level as Saka, Martinelli, and Emu Smith-Rowe. That is one of the reasons as to why I'll definitely not sign him this summer as a player who, we look at as an upgrade, as an elevation in that squad. I don't see him as a very huge upgrade. I don't see him as a very huge elevation to our squad. Actually, I look at him as a player who is at the same level as the players we have. Doesn't have the experience, played in Europe, yes, but I don't think he shares a lot of experience that he would bring to this side. The only thing he has is talent and potential. And I think Arsenal have that in absolute abundance at the moment. So Noah Lang, good shot, not a bad one. I'll take him because he would cost very, very significant less, around 20 to 25 million euros. But in my opinion, I would rather go for a Cody Gakpo than go for a Noah Lang, because I think Cody Gakpo, having played for PSV, in the Dutch Eredivisie, and has very, very good numbers as compared to Noah Lang, 25 goal involvements last campaign. Cody Gakpo would be a better shot, but Noah Lang is being monitored by Arsenal as well. Number 3 is Marco Essentio. Oh no! Now, Marco Essentio is one of the names that is being heavily monitored by Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. Surprisingly, a couple of managers and a couple of clubs around the globe feel there is a player in there for Marco Essentio. One player that is really struggling to find game time at Real Madrid, and another player that is also really struggling to keep injuries away from his career. Should Arsenal go for Marco Essentio? Yes, and no. Now, I would say with Marco Essentio, yes, he's not got those ample minutes, those enough minutes for us to evaluate him and say, look, in the past 3 seasons, in the last 2 seasons, he's been that brilliant or he's been that bad. But my problem with him, like I said, injuries, game time, consistency. If you want to build a very strong attack, you need someone who's going to give, you need 3 players that are going to average for you 30 games a campaign, unless a disaster happens, like injuries or if a player is banned. But away from that, I think Marco Essentio cannot do that. Very, very talented, highly rated. Like I said, a big profile move that is really linked with big names, including Manchester United and Liverpool. Arsenal has always been we've always been big admirers for the player right since January. But I don't think Marco Essentio brings to the team what we want. Yes, he's got the experience. Won a couple of finals with Real Madrid. The mentality is right, but you do not need a mentality that is right with a player who is also who's only going to give you that mentality 20 games a campaign, 15 games a campaign. It's one that I would be very, very skeptical about, and I know many Arsenal fans should be skeptical about this one. Good shout, but one to be very, very scared about. He might not be the kind of player that Arsenal should be 100% excited about signing. But not a bad shot. If Arsenal decided to go for him, and maybe Mikel Arteta feels if he brings him to the Premier League, he can revolutionize his career, just like Arsenal did with Alexis Sanchez, then maybe. But the injuries, how do you deal with that, right? I mean, it would be a very good deal. I think his market value is around 40 million euros. Arsenal could get him for significantly less, given the fact that we will not have a bidding war. Madrid do not have plans to keep him, so they could as well just let him go for around 30 million euros. But are we buying a problem, or are we buying a solution in Marco Essentio? Difficult one. Number 4 is Allan Saint-Maximin. Now, there are not so many videos that I've seen, done, reacted to, or even heard of, linking Arsenal with Allan Saint-Maximin. It has always been Wilfried Zaha, hasn't it? Now, Arsenal are also interested in Allan Saint-Maximin at Newcastle. One player that said he has the quality to win the Ballon d'Or, but currently is quite very, very far away. He's quite a distance away from being a Ballon d'Or winner. Saint-Maximin is very good in terms of isolating players. He absolutely does that very well. He's got the pace. So in terms of playing on the, helping you catch players on the break, especially defenses like Manchester City's and Liverpool's that play a very, very high line, you would have a very, very good player in him. But Allan Saint-Maximin has one problem. What's that? Productivity. Last campaign, he played 37 games for them, and he only scored 5 goals and 5 assists. The campaign before that, he played 25 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, and in 2019-2020, 3 goals and 4 assists as well in 26 appearances. My problem with Allan Saint-Maximin is productivity. 5 goals and 5 assists, not good enough. Not even near good enough. If we think about Raphinha and we think about losing him out and losing out on him and going for someone better, Allan Saint-Maximin is not the name. Exciting to watch, has a lot of flair, great trickery, not one I would definitely go for. But lastly is Jarrod Bowen, and we've spoken about Jarrod Bowen at a very, very huge and broad level on this channel. Talked about his statistics last campaign, averaging 26 goal involvements for West Ham, which was absolutely massive. Arsenal, I don't think the interest is really strong in Jarrod Bowen. Actually, in my opinion, Jarrod Bowen should be on top of this list in terms of a doable deal. It's quite doable. I think, although they do not want to sell Declan Rice, they can be very open to the idea of selling Jared Bowen. 45, 50 million euros or even 60 could get the deal done. Jared Bowen is not very good at isolating players wide of the pitch. So if you're bringing him in, you're looking at a player who's definitely going to be adding goals to you, to your forward line. Can play as a false nine, runs off shoulders very well. But in terms of 1v1 situations, not good. Not good at all. But of course, those are the players that Arsenal have identified as alternatives. Let's have a conversation around them in the comment box below.